Hello, my fellow sensitive people. It is I, Whimsy. Thank you for deciding to check out this video. So today we're going to be doing a remote view. This is based on the remote view I did last night. And last night I put myself in the shoes of Donald Trump. Sometimes I do that. I try not to do it too often because I feel it's kind of redundant and you want to make it interesting. So basically the purpose of last night's remote was that I tried to put myself in the shoes of Donald Trump. Now, the first thing I felt when I went into Trump's energy is that I was really between a rock and a hard place, in the sense that we have a federal emergency and we have a lot of people talking to the president, including people in the private sector, people that think that they can help, people that want new government contracts. There's a lot of pressure on him from his constituents to get back to work. And on the other hand, he's got the scientists saying that people cannot get back to work. The problem with this remote with Mr. Trump is that both sides are saying things that to some extent are true. First, if you look at his constituents, the people that voted for him, but also people in the business sector that are pushing to open things, that want OSHA training, they want training for the employees and to get the employees back to work. It's not totally greed related. It has to do also with the fact that many of the poorest of the poor have run out of money. They've run out of money. They don't have any food left. They can't pay their rent. It's been extremely hard on single parents. If you go back to the remote that I did, where I saw, this must have been taking place quite a bit in early to mid-February. I saw a peak in Missouri, for example. In the heartland, it looks like COVID was in the heartland 2 months ago in these truck stops. Remember, I was following the energy back to patient zero. So we were going backwards in time. You can go forward, predicting what most likely will happen if you follow the energy. You can follow the energy forward, or you can follow the energy backward. So when I went backward, in the Midwest, I saw a lot of people like single moms going out working as diner waitresses, etc., trying to put food on the table, trying to pay their bills. And so what happens is, if you are a diner waitress or someone like that, and full disclosure, I was a diner waitress for about 5 years, you don't have the luxury to take a week off to 10 days while you recover from the flu. If you're lucky, you get 1 to 2 days. You have to go and get a doctor's note. The doctor will say the waitress needs to stay home in bed for 5 to 10 days. And basically you'll go back in 2 days because you probably don't have health insurance. You probably don't have much savings. You don't have a spouse helping you to take care of the children. And if you don't come back in 2 days, your job will be given to somebody else. So for that reason, there's a lot of pressure on the working poor, blue collar, to go to work whether they're healthy or not. So it's not that they're dumb and unteachable. That's kind of a misrepresentation of the people that are desperate to go back to work. They don't have any money, and the food relief programs are running out of food, and now there's also risk of scarcity in food production. So that is the rock between a hard place that President Trump finds himself in. We're going to start seeing food shortages. Products are going to start becoming shortages. The poorest of the poor he does have empathy for. They're not going and working in the diners anymore because the diners are shut down. They're not working in the truck stops anymore. They're not working in all these menial jobs they used to be working in. And it's not just about re-election. It's about the fact that a sizable percentage of the adult population that was working in the United States prior to this disaster were working in food service and other areas that were non-essential and were shut down. If you go further into this energy, if I'm sitting in the shoes of Donald Trump and I'm sitting in this energy, the other thing I'm beginning to feel is fear from the banks. There's a feeling now that the feds can only afford to support the banks to only a certain extent. And once people start to get wind of that, we could see a run on the banks. And so this is something I also saw with Elizabeth Warren, a real fear that if the feds cannot begin to cover these loans, if the feds are out of money, we're in serious trouble, and the banks are in serious trouble. And what Trump is afraid of is the same thing that Elizabeth Warren is afraid of. They're just approaching it from different angles, and that is that they're terrified of a run on the bank. And so you have science in direct conflict with how the American and the global economic markets work. People work, they generate products, people buy those products, and when everything shuts down and you've still got to feed 300 and something million people, that becomes really pretty complicated. So Trump is between a rock and a hard place, between the scientific community and between what his constituents want. Here's what I heard Trump say privately to Fauci and to the scientific community, because they're talking about training programs. This is something that I saw 3 weeks ago. About 2-3 weeks ago, we did a remote on this. And that is, from your computer, you should be able to get the OSHA training to prepare you to return back to your job. So the response to that, they had made that suggestion to Mr. Trump, and what I heard him say in the remote was, do whatever the hell you want, just get out of the way of business. In plainer words, he wants them to set it up, do whatever the hell they need to do, because we have to get the country up and running or we're in serious trouble. Regarding that, I see protest escalating this coming week. Around Thursday is when the energy becomes really, really heavy, and if they don't give relief to the workers pretty soon, those protests will escalate, and for every action, we all know that there's a reaction of equal or greater force, right? So what happens when you protest? You wind up with counter protest. And so the counter protests are really what I would not be surprised we're seeing at the end of April, right? If you meditate and you follow the energy, okay, we're having pro-Trump people protesting. What's going to be likely? Well, likely there's going to be, because more people dislike Trump than like him, we're assuming, we're probably going to see some kind of counter protest. Either people online or or actually, I think some of them are going to physically actually go out there, but we could see a rise in anti-Trump protest as a result. People blaming Trump. I think that it's very likely that we're going to see a lot of protest in the Midwest. I keep feeling also Pennsylvania is going to be vulnerable to protest, that area of the Midwest. Bill Barr came up again in this remote. As far as Trump is concerned, the energy I felt in Trump's shoes was that he's very disappointed with Bill Barr. So evidently something's going on with Bill Barr where Trump feels horribly disappointed. And I'm starting to get panic attacks as Trump. I'm starting to get panic attacks in the chest, imagining runs on the banks. And this is why part of why he's desperate to get back to work again is not about the re-election. I think that that's kind of a misrepresentation. Yes, he wants to get re-elected, but it's also everybody who's looking at the economic picture, both people on the left and the right are coming to the same conclusion. If we don't get things up and running pretty soon, we're in serious trouble. If nothing else, then we will start to see rioting from people that are desperate because their financial situation is so desperate. If it was desperate before, it's now critical. Anywhere there is poultry plants, anywhere where there is industrialized processing large amounts of animals, particularly chickens and hogs, we're going to see hidden cases of coronavirus. That was the last thing I was going to leave you with. So we're looking at the heartland, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa. By the time they had detected coronavirus in Smithfield, they had over 600 cases. They had over 600 active cases. So if the average person, it takes 2 to 3 weeks to have severe cases, then we have to go back 3 weeks to when the first exposures were. And that gives you a rough idea of just how far back in time we have to go to when this virus was slowly moving through the communities in the Midwest undetected. Perhaps some of the early deaths in the Midwest, just like here in California and in other states, they were simply seen as seniors dying from pneumonia. But when it reaches that tipping point, where 10 to 15% of the population that gets infected is going to need some kind of medical intervention, that's when we're really going to start to see these hidden viruses, or excuse me, the hidden virus hitting the Midwest pretty hard. And I'm sorry to say, I think that's going to happen next week because it's just been there for so long. All right, the last thing I'm going to do before I close today, we'll do a simple prayer. And I just wanted to do something a little bit different today for today's reading. This is a reading for everybody, the collective of the planet, for all human beings on the planet, starting today, Sunday. What we need to know as the Earth goes through this dramatic shift with the virus. All right. I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access our Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, for the planet, and to help those we have strife with. And together we say, Amen. What do we need? What do we need to be doing? What do we need to be doing? What's our week going to be like? All right, let's take a look. Oh, very nice. We have an agreement. Okay, looks like Fauci and Trump and everybody else has worked out some kind of an agreement. You can see the Three of Pentacles moving in and the Sun moving in. This is also a 3-week card. Again, for those people who want to know how I read the cards, Pentacles are weeks, Wands are months, Swords are years, and you cannot predict the time with water because water goes with the flow. But we have a nice Sun card here, and Sun is also the time when the Sun is rising. It reaches its peak around August, but you can see the Three of Pentacles, a contract coming in, an offer. It can also be a 3-week period, like I said. So basically, the fundamentals are getting organized through the CDC training, etc., for workers so that they can slowly begin to return back to work. And this is probably going to be rolled out in the next couple of weeks, probably to make the deadline of May 1st. Which makes sense because I think, isn't it Labor Day? Isn't that Labor Day? Well, that makes sense. Well, that'd be cool. Kind of neat that they try to do it on Labor Day. All right. Let us see what else we've got here. Can everybody see this? There we go. Queen of Cups, time of negotiating and healing. Very good. What's crossing it? Page of Swords. People are beginning to, there's a lot of communication by air right now, and I think that's because everybody's communicating via the internet, email, etc. But this is an attempt at healing or resolving or finding a problem to the solution. Also, this is a card, like I said, of communication by air, heartbreak. It's interesting how much grief and trauma has not been absorbed yet by the world. That we sit in the third house, we sit in the Three of Swords, which is a card that has to do with one's heart being broken. And the third house is the heart chakra. If you're thinking about chakras or energetically, what a person marinates in. It's what sits in their heart. The Three of Swords, to be heartbroken. I feel like there's a lot of grief that people have not had a chance to process because we're still in the middle of this. The people that literally have family members that have died or are dying and they can't get them out of their home, they can't grieve, there's not able to do burials. We don't have the money to implement certain things that we want to implement. And so what we do have is people that are willing to volunteer their time to help, and we'll be seeing more of that. Creative ways that people will be helping in exchange for either having student loans forgiven. There need to be some type of programs to get people working for the government at a time when the government is out of money. You can see wheeling and dealing here. We're starting to feel trapped. People are starting to feel like trapped in their home. There's a general feeling like we want, it's springtime. We want to be, we will not be able to control people, particularly young people, going outside. So all we can do at this point is begin to give people the best training possible about how to get back to their lives, but do it in a way where they're not going to be spreading the virus, because you can see just how tied up everybody's starting to feel. And then the defensiveness, everybody's hardening. I totally get where the poor are coming from, having grown up poor. The luxury of taking 2-3 months without a paycheck, it's just not an option. Seven of Wands in the 8th house, just a lot of potential fighting. New ideas in business couldn't come soon enough. The Ace of Wands, final outcome, the Queen of Wands. Be strong, take care of ourselves. If you're busy gossiping about somebody else, it means there's something that you're supposed to be doing that you have not attended to. That always comes up in card readings for myself, and as a reminder to myself, and it's something that I share with other people. If I'm fixated on some other relationship or some other person or somebody else's life, it probably means that I'm neglecting my own life. But you can see here the archetypes coming to us right now are the Queen of Wands, to be strong, to get your house in order, to be the leader of the tribe. Go through the kitchen, do an account and a reckoning of every single thing you have in the kitchen, write it down, organize it. Be like Monica from Friends, label everything, organize. You know, that's the Queen of Wands. Ship shape. She wants her house in ship shape, my way or the highway. I like the fact also that the Emperor is coming to us. It shows scholarship and knowledge, pulling back from the world and other people's business and instead focusing on one's own affairs. The Hermit card is also a card that indicates knowledge. But I'm going to go ahead and predict, and the pursuit of knowledge, I'm going to go ahead and predict that we're probably steadily returning back at work within 3 weeks. That it's a contract that they're working out, some kind of training between the business world and the CDC, Fauci, etc. And I think that it's a time when, as a nation, a lot of us are going to be hunkering down and learning and doing a lot of soul searching, but we have also learned how to take care of ourselves in ways that I think are really important. All right, thanks for watching this video, everyone. Love and light from beautiful Los Angeles, home of Harry and beautiful Mehgan. We're so happy to have him here. And I got it right. But I'm not going to make anyone who told me I was wrong feel too bad. I told you, you cannot keep an LA girl down. You don't treat an LA girl right, she will leave. We are very independent here in LA. We're very independent. I am predicting that we're going to see a lot more of Doria, Mehgan's mother, who is a remarkable person. She's a community organizer. She was the one that helped find the Angel Food Network, which Harry and Mehgan are volunteering, delivering meals to. And I think that what I love when you do a remote on Doria, forgot her name, her last name, I apologize, Mehgan's mom, she does have many of the same elements in her spirituality to Princess Diana, in the sense that they were both deeply spiritual women with big hearts that understood the importance of helping others. And so it's wonderful to see Harry now having another great mentor in his life through his wife Mehgan's mother's guidance. So that's been cool too. All right, Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to share, like, subscribe, tell me what you're doing to take care of yourself. And also, if you'd like to get a reading, please reach out to me by going to tarotwithwhimsy.com. And for anybody who ordered teas over the weekend, I will ship those out on Monday. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.